Hi, friends. Welcome to You Are Magic with Karina Mosqueda, your host. I am an intuitive healer, past life regressionist, and spiritual coach. This podcast is all about spirituality, about healing, about the magic and chaos behind this whole journey. I will be sharing from my own experiences and hope that you can learn and you can gain some insight on this journey along the way. I also want to add, just like I do in my sessions and with anyone I come across, please take what resonates and leave what doesn't. Alrighty, besties. So let's go ahead and get started. Today's episode is all about spirituality, what it is, what is healing, how to get started, and our purpose. When I first got into this journey, I actually thought that it was a religion, and a religion in the way of having set rules, having beliefs and laws that are set in stone. Come to find out, it's absolutely the opposite. There is no right or wrong way of doing spirituality. Spirituality, all it is really standing true to yourself, discovering what it is that your soul wants, and ultimately uncovering the secrets of the universe. I do think that there's a lot of gurus out there, there's a lot of people who do try to say that there is a right way of doing spirituality, but there really isn't. Um, because the lessons that we learn, the lesson that each person was meant to learn this lifetime, are not the same lessons that I had to learn. My mom does not have the same lessons as me, neither does my dad, my sisters, my friends. And so there's no one who could tell you how to go about discovering yourself. Spirituality to me, to Karina, is about being authentic, showing up with integrity, showing up with love, releasing the ego, and fully embracing who I'm meant to be, my purpose in this lifetime. And how do I do that? How do we do that? How do we start figuring out what our purpose is in this lifetime? It's through healing. One question I get asked a lot as a spiritual coach is, does healing hurt? Whew. I always love this question because I love reading people's faces and knowing what they're thinking. And then once I tell them the truth, which is yes, healing hurts. It's going to hurt over and over and over again. That's where I'm able to see who's really about this life. For me, it started off just like I shared in my last episode. It started off with hitting rock bottom and then being at a crossroads and being like, okay, what am I going to do about this? This can't be this can't be it for me. And it started with talk therapy, then I moved on to energy work, then I moved on to plant medicine, and I've found so many healing spiritual modalities since then that have helped me be where I am today. In later episodes, I will be talking about all these modalities that helped me get here. However, I do want to say this: nothing is ever outside of you. I know we hear this all the time, but what does that actually mean? Well, I think that many of us are always okay. A quick example is a lot of people go to tarot readers to get the answer that they already know. If you're asking if that man loves you, if you're asking the tarot reader to tell you if that man loves you, I think you already know. You should know the answer. That's a simple way that we abuse a lot of these modalities. So don't get caught up in that. Please don't get lost in that because I have seen a lot of people continue chasing outside of themselves. Like these tools were made to give us clarity, to help us out, to guide us in our own journey. But there also comes a time where we will learn that we can't always depend on these tools. The universe will find a way for us to really go inwards and push through whatever it is that we need to ground in and learn in the moment. So, spirituality and healing go hand in hand. However, not everyone considers themselves a spiritual person. I consider myself a spiritual person because a lot of my work does revolve around working with higher dimensions and really being in the mystical side of spirituality. This leads me to the next thing I want to talk about today, which is finding our purpose, finding your purpose. So, like I mentioned earlier, spirituality to me means being authentic, authentic to who you are, really shedding the layers, the masks, um, what you hide behind. Like once you really start removing these versions of you that you built up to please everyone else, then life really starts to make sense. You start to find peace in everything that you do because nobody could tell you who you are, what you are. So, another question that I get asked in my coaching classes is, what is my purpose? A lot of the times, this question, mm, I really dislike. I dislike when someone asks me this question because I don't have the answers for you. I never do. I never know what your purpose is. I might be able to give you some hints, but ultimately it is up to you to find your purpose. And I also want to say that we do have multiple purposes. Just like planet Earth, humans move the same way. By that, I mean that there's seasons to everything. You're going to have a different purpose depending on the season. So your purpose one season might be all in on your business. Next season might be all about hibernating and creating. Next one might be about just being present with your family, with your friends. This is how this journey works. So there is no one purpose. We have multiple purposes this lifetime. Um, and I also do think when we step into this realm of spirituality, we all think that we need to be energy healers and that we need to be tarot readers and astrology. No, no, because we also need cops. We also need dentists. We also need teachers. We need counselors. We need, just genuine good people, people who are trying to make a difference in the world, who are trying to help this world heal. Because I say this all the time. When I heal, you heal, we all heal. So we all have to do we all have a purpose in this lifetime, in this world, so that we can help the next generation. So the next generation can be better than what we were, better than what we experienced, better than our parents, our grandparents, than everything we've experienced as a collective up until today. Most of us are actually already standing halfway into our purpose. Um, for me, growing up, I always knew that I wanted to be a doctor. I loved um, looking at people, reading people. I was a quiet kid. I was very, very quiet, very to myself. Spent a lot of time alone, so I learned how to read people, and through that, I was able to see experiences that sometimes um, were medical, psychological. It opened up my mind to heal, to help others heal. I remember also helping animals. Like I'm a huge animal lover. Um, and I remember like birds, dogs, snakes, you name it. They were all in my front door. Sometimes it's so funny. Sometimes the universe will still bring these animals to my front door. Um, and it's so beautiful. It's so magical to be able to help. But yes, I that's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be a doctor, right? In my mind, a doctor helps these people with all the things that I see was wrong with them, quote unquote wrong. Um, and so come into high school, high school is a mess. So I realized there was no way I was getting into medical school. No. And then I was like, man, okay, so what do I do? The next thing on the list was joining a dental program. And so I did trade school for dental assisting. And when I was in there, it just came to me naturally. I was actually teacher's pet in there for the first time ever in my life. I was teacher's pet. I remember telling her this one time. I feel like I'm standing in my purpose by helping others heal in a sense. That's the first time that I really felt like I was living in my purpose. And it went like that for 12 years where I was standing in this purpose until finally things started getting the best of me. Just the way that society has built things. I think I mentioned it in my last episode, like money hungry, money grabbing. Like that was not something I wanted to do. Have to lie to my client in order to my patient in order to get their money. And so I there was a part of me that was like, should I do RN? And I was like, oh my God, if I actually think about RN, that's not the job for me. Um, for various reasons. But I was like, what's the next thing? And then that's when everything started unraveling for me. Like stepping into, therapy and then energy work. I remember at some point I even considered a therapist. My therapist actually said, you should be a therapist. And I hear it current day, I hear it from all my clients. Like, you're a therapist. You're an energy healer and a therapist combined. And nothing makes me more happier than to hear that, because I'm like, I'm standing in my true fucking purpose, because that's all I've ever wanted to do and be. And that's what I'm doing. And yes, there's challenges that come with that, because how do I explain to my dad that I didn't go to school for this? That it's just something that I intuitively do. I can't, I've tried to explain it to him. He still doesn't understand. And in, again, a society where we need a PhD to do these things, it hasn't been easy. But genuinely, I know that I'm a good person at heart. I know what's happening when I go into these sessions, when I'm making a difference for my client, when I'm making a difference for myself. That all the healing that I've done in these 4 years has led me to this, to allowing myself to stand in this authentic version of Karina. It's beautiful, it's magical, it's crazy, it's all the feels, because healing is not easy in any way. But once, it's almost like a game, there's levels to this. So you're like in level 1 and you're trying to, I don't know, destroy the bad guy there. Your demons, you're fighting with your demons there. It's hard. It's really hard when you first start this journey. There's probably like 40 demons coming to you at the same time, and you got to pull out the gun, you got to pull out the knife, you got to pull out everything you got. But as you go on to levels, it gets easier and easier. And healing never stops. It's an ongoing journey. I feel like a lot of us think that we're going to heal. Like, oh, I'm just going to be healed. And then after that, nothing can touch me. No, because life continues. We continue moving through shit. Like, I am in a part of my life right now where I live at my parents' house. I just started this podcast. I'm actively working on a business every single day. And there's challenges, there's fears that come with all of that. There's lessons that are needed to be learned in this. The next phase in my life, kids, marriage. I'm also going to have to move through challenges and fears and lessons in that. So it never stops. This is the reality of our life. But with spirituality and healing, we really lean into this higher version of ourselves, what I call our higher self, who's always talking to us. Our higher self is a person who's aware, who understands everything, who's able to zoom out and look at the bigger picture. And then we deal with the human, the complicated part of us. That's a person who wants to throw fits, who wants to cry, who's angry all the time, who hates looking at themselves in the mirror. Because that's what healing is all about, looking at yourself in the fucking mirror. And let me tell you, that's like throwing fucking alcohol in an open wound. It is difficult. But once you make it on the other side, I promise you, it's amazing. This probably sounds a little bit cheesy, but it really feels like there's angels waiting for you on the other side and just celebrating you in every sense. There's a beautiful, like, rose garden, whatever makes you happy, whatever you imagine, butterflies, rainbows, all that. That's what I imagine at least. That's what the other side is. So it's worth it. All of that pain is worth what you get at the end. And today, what my life looks like as a person who believes that I have done a lot of healing is problem arises and my higher self is able to fully grasp and understand why this lesson is happening for me. Again, everything is a lesson. Everything. Every person you meet is a mirror and a lesson for yourself. So I am in this part of my life where it's easier for me to deal with the problem because I'm able to understand from a higher perspective why my soul chose to go through this lesson this lifetime. The part that gets tricky is when my human, again, wants to throw a fit, doesn't want to deal with the emotions. And so I'm just letting it sit there for some time. And then out of nowhere, it's this emotional outburst. And I don't mean to do that. But again, I'm human and sometimes it does happen, unfortunately. But we're living, we're learning, and that's what this journey is all about. So if you're new to the spirituality journey, hold on tight. Hold on tight. That's all I got to say. But I promise you, there's so much magic behind this. Just learn to embrace the chaos. Learn to embrace your demons. Make friends with your demons. Love them. Love yourself. Your purpose will come to you, whatever that is. Whatever that is. It will come once you turn this off, turn your mind off, and listen to your heart. And how do we do that? What's the easiest way to do that? Is by meditating. I know I struggled with this. I didn't want to meditate for the life of me because it was uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to sit there and listen to all the chaos that's happening in your mind. Meditating is all about shutting the brain off and being present in your body, being present in the moment. And so many of us are not used to that. There comes a time where you do reach that level of stillness and quiet in your mind. But to be real, that took me like 2 years. That took me like 2 years. I actually started off with YouTube videos, like 3-minute meditations, and then started ranking it up. There was a time where I fell off the cycle. There was another time where I had to, again, learn how to meditate. Now I make it, now it's a choice. It's an everyday routine. I meditate for 5 minutes every single day. And yes, I sit in stillness some days, but some days my mind is just louder than my heart, and that's okay too. But if I can give you any piece of advice, is learn to meditate. That is the one thing that you have going for you that will really allow you to come into your heart space, open up your heart space, and look within. Really gain your inner wisdom, all the knowledge that you carry from lifetimes and lifetimes, and just watch the magic unravel for you. Okay, friends, that is it for today. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here, for being a part of the You Are Magic community, for being a part of this revolution that's happening in the world. Thank you for being a part of all of this. Thank you for showing up for yourself. If you're listening on Spotify, if you're watching on YouTube, I hope to see you next week, and I hope that you have an amazing rest of your week. See you soon.